Hello, how are you today? I want to discuss politics and fashion sense. So, first, I'm going to start with the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy. He said, quote, dress with some respect. Um, right off the bat, that's a very subjective um, statement from a person in his position. So, subjective statements like that from a person in authority, um, that is kind of cause for alarm. I mean, that sounds like a scam and a trap right off the bat. But anyway, I think that this was all inspired by a lot of the social media chatter surrounding black women at the airport, particularly black women wearing bonnets. The woman, or the comedian and actress Monique, who I like quite a bit, The Parkers is one of my favorite TV shows ever, ever, ever. I remember some years ago, she made a video talking about black women at the airport wearing bonnets. And since then, I have seen that come up again. It's become kind of a MAGA talking point. Now, I would not say that I travel a lot. I would say maybe every other year to every year I will travel somewhere. But I will say that I don't remember seeing anyone in bonnets in the airport. I do not think that this is a national emergency. In fact, I cannot say that anyone's outfit at the airport really stands out in my mind except for my own. Um, and I just remember one time someone's outfit at an airport really stood out in my mind, and they were dressed beautifully. They were on a flight to Detroit, and it was indeed a black woman. She was wearing very expensive clothes like St. John or something like that, and she was really sweet too. So that is really the only person other than myself whose airport outfits stand out in my mind. Now, Sean Duffy said, dress with some respect. But we have been walking around with no shoes on at the airport for like 20 years. I don't think that that's very dignified or respectful. And a man in his position should probably use his influence to rectify that if he's really concerned with respect at the airport. Now, when it comes to airport clothing, you need to dress for your flight. You need to dress for security mainly. And also, airports are huge. You need to be prepared to walk long distances and maybe even, walk pretty briskly, in order to get from point A to point B if necessary. So there are a lot of factors at play other than fashion. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that. Um, I myself have in the past now, at this point, I really just try and dress for, the voyage and security and things like that. But I'll be honest, I'll give myself a pat on the back. I've put together some pretty cute airport looks. And, people go and take pictures of black women in bonnets at the airport. And I'm like, well, why didn't you take a picture of me? Like, sometimes I think back on like some of the things I wore, and I was like, okay, that was pretty fashion forward that I wore that one day, thinking back to some trip I took. And I'm like, well, how come no one took a picture of that? How come no one took a picture of that lady in her St. John outfit heading to Detroit that one time, who I still remember probably like 10 years later? How come no one took a picture of that? So, I mean, yeah, people are really pushing agendas. Again, I can't say that I have seen people at the airport wearing pajamas and wearing bonnets. Even if I did, I didn't pay any attention to it. I also have not seen people really act up at the airport or on a plane. So, really, it's just a lot of social media drama for most people, which a lot. of things are. Like, there's a lot of things that are just social media fodder, and people mistake it for their own reality. Like, it's not really happening to you, and it really doesn't happen that much. So, really believe that a lot of these politicians just lurk on social media all day, and whatever it is that people are talking about, or whatever people latch onto, especially black people, they will just take that and just try and shape it and form it in a way to push an agenda that they want. So it's nonsense, and I think that ultimately they probably want to try and use um, airport fashion as just a way to kind of apprehend, engage, and then possibly apprehend more people who they usually wouldn't have the opportunity to. So, moving on, I want to talk about that Sydney Sweeney ad with American Eagle. It got a lot of attention, mainly because Trump mentioned it, and Trump said that it was a great ad. And then other people latched onto it, and it got a lot of attention. Had Trump not said anything about it, and then other people latched onto it and started talking about it, I don't know that that ad um, would have ever crossed my vision. Now, the ad, it didn't really make American Eagle any money. It did, shortly after that ad came out, increase foot traffic, and certain items sold well, but overall the ad did not make American Eagle any money. So if they were really trying to make money and sell some jeans, which is what I assumed that they were trying to do, the ad was a failure. um, Now, Sydney Sweeney, she's a very popular actress right now, so I don't have a problem with her, being a spokesperson for a big retailer. Like, I would pay attention, and possibly she could, sell me some jeans. But that ad, I don't think it was very well done. It wasn't very well styled at all. I could barely understand what Sydney Sweeney was saying. And for her to talk about good jeans, well, okay, if you don't know what she looks like, she is a Caucasian, uh, blonde, blue eyed lady. There aren't that many real blondes in the world. So, who exactly are you even talking to? Is that really who you're trying to sell jeans to? Because you will likely fail if that's who you're just trying to sell to. And so-called conservatives, they're not really known to be fashion forward or trendsetters. So I really think they missed the mark there. And they need to broaden their horizon if they actually want to sell some jeans. Because, see, I'm a person who, follows the trends and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, sell me some jeans. That's not how you do it. Sydney Sweeney could do it, but not like that. So, anyway, oh, and another thing that I feel like completely has been missed in the whole conversation about Sydney Sweeney, um, in that American Eagle ad, is that my first time ever seeing Sydney Sweeney was in Handmaid's Tale. She had a fairly, well, in the grand scheme of things, it was a small part, but in those seasons, I think she was pretty significant. Her storyline was significant. But anyway, she played a young government issued wife. And I just think, okay, I wonder how well that's playing into it. Like, her wearing ill fitting jeans, not wearing a shirt. She had on a jean jacket that was just kind of had one or two buttons buttoned. She spoke with a baby voice. I could barely understand her. And I know when she first came to my attention, she was playing a government issued wife in The Handmaid's Tale. And I'm just like, good gravy. I mean, I haven't heard anyone else mention that. And it's just like, one thing I notice about MAGA, there's usually some like underlying meanings to things that they do. Just like this whole dress with some respect. Yeah, they latched on to the whole black women in bonnets thing. And as far as the bonnets are concerned, no, I'm not real big into, wearing the bonnets in public. I also don't worry a great deal about other people's sense of fashion. But I don't know that wearing a bonnet on a plane is really a bad idea because we don't know how well those headrests get cleaned. So it may not be a bad idea, honestly. Now, I have a little brim collection and I like to wear baseball hats, when I travel and stuff like that. So that would be my solution, but, other people have their solution. So, yeah, give people a break. They may have just traveled 20 hours. You don't know. So, you don't know their life. So, leave people alone. Mind your business. I mean, when I am at the airport, I am trying to get from point A to point B on time and not losing anything. So, I'm not real concerned with other people's fashions other than maybe my own. And I am, since people like to take pictures of strangers and just like circulate them all over the internet, I'm a little bit disappointed that no one's taken a picture of any of my airport looks. Because in the past, some of them have been pretty like fashion forward, I must say. So, anyway, have a great day and thanks for watching. Bye.